Hey everyone, this is James at Yoreevo coming to you with our August Manhattan market update. And if you pay attention to the market numbers, you may have seen a particularly optimistic data point, and that the contract activity was only down 14% year over year, and that was also up 25% month over month. But I would caution you from getting too carried away with that, because there's a little bit of an apples and oranges comparison with that year over year number in particular. So just to recap, it is a step in the right direction. It was down 39% in July. We're down 14% now. But remember, August is always a very slow month. A lot of buyers and sellers and brokers are out of the city, so there's just not much activity. And then you fast forward to this year, where buyers started doing showings again in July. They saw properties, they made offers, they were accepted, and they turned into contracts in August. So basically, you had a lot of pent up demand from lockdown that actually turned into signed contracts in August. So you have a little bit of a spike in demand, a little bit of an artificial component of demand compared to a seasonally slow month, and we are still down 14%. So I would be very surprised if the rest of the year was down 14% in terms of contract activity. And those are just numbers I went through. And then here, the only thing I would take away from these price point breakdowns is that the lower you go in the market, generally, the stronger it is. And a lot of that is because the buyers of 2 and 3 bedrooms, the families that have second homes or living with friends outside of the city, are not in the city, and so they're not here to buy apartments. But the bigger story, I think, continues to be listing inventory. So it continued to build, and just jumping straight to the chart here, you can see, just to recap, when we could start doing showings again towards the end of June, we saw a big uptick that continued in July. And at the end of July here, we're actually at the highest level since 2011, and then we went up another 400 or so listings from there. And what I am most focused on is what happens here in September, because as you can see, normally there's a big uptick in listings following Labor Day. Basically, all the buyers come back, all the sellers come back, brokers come back, and everyone puts their property on the market, and the buyers start looking at places again. So that's not going to be the case to this degree this year, because there aren't as many people coming back to the city, but simply because sellers expect to list after Labor Day. A lot of them are holding out until after Labor Day. I mean, we have signed listing agreements with sellers who want to list after Labor Day, because they say, who's here in August? Good question, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to be here in September either. So if this shoots up, I mean, any further increase in this number is going to be bad for the market. It's just a question of how high does it go. Could it get to 9,000? It certainly could, but handicapping that is obviously anybody's guess. And then here, price point, the listing inventory by price point, and perhaps contradictory, you see the biggest uptick here in the under 600,000 price point, but that market tends to be moving because the buyer for that price point is in the city. And so these are some pricing data numbers. Our data provider has some preliminary data for July and August, even though there's very little data there. There are very few closed transactions, so I would severely discount this. But to the extent you do care, I would look at the discount to ask, and you can see that in August, in July, you're looking at a 1-2% increase in discount to ask. And obviously, discount to ask is not pricing, but just generally the takeaway I want you to have from here is that, going back to what we've been saying for a couple months, there's absolutely no evidence that prices are down 10-20%. The numbers that are being floated in the media in April and May, when there was nothing happening in the market. So if you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, and you want to zero in on any particular neighborhood, price point, property type, that sort of thing, feel free to reach out to us at info@yoreevo.com, because it really does matter. It always matters where you are, what type of competition you have in the market, but especially now, there are just huge differences depending on where you're looking and what kind of property you're selling, how desirable the property is, and pricing is extremely important. You can't overprice in these markets. So either side, buyer, seller, just let us know. I'm happy to dive into it and look at exactly what you're considering. And again, info@yoreevo.com, and we'll see you in September, when we're going to have a lot more to discuss. Thanks a lot.